The polished chrome doors of Tech Solutions slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a cavernous space bathed in the cool, sterile glow of fluorescent lights. Dr. Eris Thorne, disguised in a faded hoodie, worn jeans, and scuffed sneakers, stepped inside. He clutched a tattered backpack, its strap frayed, a stark contrast to the sleek, futuristic displays around him. His eyes, usually sharp and discerning, were deliberately dulled, observing. He moved with a slight, almost imperceptible limp, a subtle affectation designed to complete the picture of a man down on his luck. Eris was the CEO of Thorne Innovations, the parent company that had recently acquired the struggling Tech Solutions chain. He was here for an undercover assessment, a deep dive into the customer experience, particularly for those who didn't fit the typical affluent tech consumer profile. He'd heard whispers, disturbing reports, but he needed to see it for himself. A young sales associate, barely out of his teens, with a meticulously styled haircut and a name tag that read Kyle, approached him. Kyle's gaze swept over Eris, lingering on his worn clothes, then flicked to his face with a barely concealed look of disdain. "Can I help you?" Kyle asked, his tone clipped, devoid of the usual customer service warmth. Eris offered a hesitant smile. "Yeah, I'm looking for a laptop. Something affordable." For school, he adopted a slightly nervous tremor in his voice, playing the part of a financially strapped student. Kyle's lips curled into a faint sneer. "Affordable? We have a range. What's your budget?" He gestured vaguely towards a wall of high-end gaming laptops, their screens blazing with vibrant graphics. Eris shifted uncomfortably, pulling out a crumpled wad of cash from his pocket. "Maybe around 500? 600 max." The sum, a pittance in this temple of cutting-edge technology, seemed to confirm all of Kyle's preconceived notions. Kyle let out a short, humorless laugh. 500? 600? "Sir, this is Tech Solutions. We don't sell toys. Our entry-level models start at 800, and those are barely functional for anything more than basic browsing." He paused, his eyes narrowing. "For your budget, you're better off checking a pawn shop or a used electronics store. We deal in quality here." The words hung in the air, laced with an unmistakable condescension. Eris felt a familiar tightening in his chest, a sensation he hadn't experienced since his own days as a struggling student, dismissed and overlooked. He swallowed, forcing himself to maintain the facade. "Oh, okay. I really need something for my studies. My old one finally gave out." He gestured vaguely at his backpack, as if the broken laptop lay within. Kyle shrugged, his interest clearly waning. "Look, I can show you a refurbished model maybe, but no guarantees on performance, and it'll still be pushing your budget. Honestly, you're wasting my time." He started to turn away, his attention already drifting towards a well-dressed couple browsing the tablet section. Eris's heart pounded with a mix of anger and a grim satisfaction. This was exactly what he had feared. This wasn't just poor customer service. It was blatant classism, thinly veiled contempt. He took a deep breath, fighting the urge to drop the act and unleash the full force of his CEO persona. He needed more. He needed undeniable proof. He watched Kyle approach the couple, a wide, obsequious smile plastered on his face, his voice suddenly dripping with charm. The contrast was sickening. "Sir, are you going to be needing anything else?" Kyle's voice, now devoid of any pretense of politeness, snapped Eris back to the present. He realized he had been standing there, observing, for too long. He shook his head slowly. "No, I guess not. Thanks anyway." He turned, his shoulders slumped, and shuffled towards the exit, his backpack feeling heavier than usual. As the doors hissed shut behind him, Eris pulled out his phone, his fingers flying across the screen. He opened a secure messaging app and typed a short, urgent message. "Initiate full audit of Tech Solutions. Focus on customer service interactions, particularly for low-income demographics. Send in 3 more mystery shoppers by end of day. I want transcripts, video, everything." And pull up Kyle's employee file. Immediately, the game was far from over. It had just begun. Back in his anonymous rental car, parked discreetly down the street, Eris peeled off his disguise. The worn hoodie came off, revealing a crisp, tailored shirt. He ran a hand through his hair, restoring its usual neatness. The limp vanished as he stretched his legs. The rage he had suppressed began to simmer, cold and precise. He reviewed the recording from the tiny camera hidden in his backpack strap. Kyle's dismissive tone, the sneer, the outright lie about their price range. It was all there. Tech Solutions had entry-level laptops starting at $499, specifically marketed to students. Kyle had lied, not just about the availability, but about the very ethos of the company. Eris had personally overseen the acquisition and the rebranding, emphasizing inclusivity and accessibility. Kyle's actions were a direct betrayal of that vision. He made a call to Sarah Chun, his head of operations. "Sarah, it's Eris. I just left the downtown Tech Solutions branch. We have a serious problem." Sarah's voice, usually unflappable, had a hint of concern. "Oh, what did you find?" Eris relayed the incident, his voice calm, but with an underlying steel. "This isn't just about one bad employee, Sarah. This is about a culture. This is about what happens when our frontline staff believe they can gatekeep access based on appearance or perceived wealth. It's unacceptable." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "I want a comprehensive plan for retraining all customer-facing staff, effective immediately. And I want a full review of our hiring practices." How did someone like Kyle get through? Sarah assured him she would mobilize her team. "Consider it done, Eris. I'll have a preliminary report on your desk by morning." Eris ended the call, his mind already racing ahead. This wasn't just about Kyle. It was about the systemic issues that allowed such behavior to flourish. It was about the implicit biases that permeate retail environments, creating barriers for those who need access the most. He thought about his own journey, the countless times he'd been underestimated, dismissed, and told he didn't belong. He'd built Thorne Innovations on the principle that talent and potential should never be limited by circumstance or prejudice. He wouldn't let Tech Solutions become a symbol of the very elitism he despised. The incident with Kyle was a symptom, and Eris was determined to cure the disease. The next morning, Eris sat in his penthouse office. The panoramic city views a stark contrast to the sterile tech store from yesterday. Sarah's preliminary report was open on his tablet. The 3 additional mystery shoppers had confirmed his findings. 2 had experienced similar dismissive treatment, quoted inflated prices, and were steered away from affordable options. The 3rd, a young woman dressed in business casual, had been offered a full range of options, including the student-discounted models. The pattern was undeniable. Kyle's employee file revealed a history of minor complaints, mostly about attitude, but nothing that escalated to a formal disciplinary action. It also showed a troubling trend. Kyle consistently met his sales quotas by pushing high-margin, expensive products, often neglecting the more affordable inventory. Eris leaned back, his jaw tight. This wasn't just a rogue employee. It was a systemic failure of oversight. The store manager, a man named Henderson, had clearly prioritized sales figures over ethical customer service. Eris dictated a memo to his executive team, outlining the immediate implementation of a new customer empathy and inclusivity training program, mandatory for all retail staff. He also instructed Sarah to schedule an unannounced visit to the downtown Tech Solutions branch, with him in tow. He wanted to see Henderson's reaction, and he wanted to confront Kyle directly. This wouldn't be a quiet dismissal. It would be a public demonstration of accountability, a message that would resonate throughout the entire company. Weeks later, the day of the unannounced visit arrived. Eris, dressed in a sharp suit, walked into the downtown Tech Solutions, this time flanked by Sarah Chun and a burly security detail. The atmosphere inside the store, usually bustling, seemed to stiffen. Kyle, who was chatting animatedly with a colleague near the display of premium headphones, froze mid-sentence when he saw Eris. His eyes widened, a flicker of recognition, then pure panic. He had seen Eris's photo on the company intranet, in internal announcements. The CEO, the man he had dismissed as a pauper, the man he had lied to, was standing right in front of him, radiating an undeniable aura of authority. Store manager Henderson, a portly man with a perpetually stressed expression, rushed forward, his face paling as he recognized Eris. "Dr. Thorne, what an unexpected pleasure. To what do we owe this visit?" Henderson stammered, his eyes darting nervously between Eris and his entourage. Eris offered no pleasantries. His gaze was fixed on Kyle, who was now visibly trembling. "Mr. Henderson." Eris's voice was calm, but each word was delivered with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. I believe we have some urgent matters to discuss regarding customer service and integrity. He then turned his full attention to Kyle. Kyle, do you recognize me? Kyle swallowed hard, his face a mask of fear. Why, yes, sir. Dr. Thorne. Eris nodded slowly. Good. Because I certainly recognize you. Do you recall a customer who came in a few weeks ago, looking for an affordable laptop? A man in a hoodie, with a backpack, asking about models around $500 to $600. Kyle's eyes darted around, desperately searching for an escape. He knew. He knew everything. Sir, I don't recall every customer. It was busy that day. The lie was weak, pathetic. Eris simply raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Well, perhaps this will refresh your memory. He nodded to Sarah, who held up a tablet. On the screen, playing silently, was the video footage from Eris's hidden camera. Kyle's sneering face, his dismissive hand gestures, his outright lie about the store's inventory. It was all there, undeniable. The color drained from Kyle's face. Henderson gasped, his hand flying to his mouth. The security guards stood impassively, their presence a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. You told me. Eris continued, his voice still low, but now edged with a cold fury. That Tech Solutions didn't sell toys. You told me our entry-level models started at $800, and that for my budget, I should check a pawn shop. You lied, Kyle. Repeatedly. And you did so with a level of contempt that is utterly unacceptable in any business, let alone one I own. Kyle mumbled something inaudible, his head bowed in shame. Eris wasn't finished. This isn't just about a single interaction, Kyle. This is about a pattern of discriminatory behavior that we have documented, not just from you, but from others in this store. He turned to Henderson. Mr. Henderson, your store consistently underperforms in customer satisfaction for our lower-income demographics. Your sales quotas, while met, are achieved by steering customers away from products that genuinely meet their needs, favoring high-margin items. And you allowed this culture to fester. Henderson, now sweating profusely, tried to interject. Dr. Thorne, I assure you, I was unaware. Eris cut him off with a sharp gesture. Unaware? Or simply unwilling to address it because the numbers looked good on paper? Either way, it's a failure of leadership. The pronouncements were delivered with a quiet authority that left no room for argument. The entire store was silent, watching the drama unfold. Eris then turned back to Kyle, his eyes hardening. Kyle, you are terminated, effective immediately. Your actions are a direct violation of our company's core values and our commitment to accessible technology for all. Security will escort you out. He then addressed Henderson, his voice equally firm. Mr. Henderson, your employment is also terminated. Your negligence and complicity in fostering this toxic environment are inexcusable. You will be replaced by someone who understands that profit should never come at the expense of integrity and respect for our customers. The words, though expected, still landed with the force of a physical blow. The suddenness, the public nature of it, was designed to send a clear message throughout the company. As Kyle and Henderson were led away, their faces etched with shock and humiliation, Eris addressed the remaining staff, his voice resonating with a newfound intensity. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Thorne Innovations, and by extension, Tech Solutions, is built on a foundation of respect, inclusivity, and innovation. We serve everyone, regardless of their background, their appearance, or their budget. Any employee who fails to uphold these values will face immediate consequences. We will implement new training programs, stricter oversight, and a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination of any kind. This is not just a company. It's a commitment to a better, more equitable future. The staff, initially stunned, began to nod, some with relief, others with a dawning understanding of the new era that had just begun. Months later, the transformation at Tech Solutions was remarkable. The customer empathy and inclusivity training programs had been fully implemented, led by a newly appointed head of retail operations, a woman known for her commitment to ethical business practices. Mystery shoppers, now a permanent fixture, reported a dramatic improvement in customer service across all demographics. The downtown branch, under new management, had become a model of inclusivity, with a diverse staff that genuinely welcomed every customer. The sales floor was no longer segregated by price point. Affordable options were prominently displayed alongside premium products, and staff were trained to guide customers based on need, not perceived wealth. Eris Thorne, no longer undercover, often visited the stores, sometimes just to observe, sometimes to speak with customers directly. He saw genuine smiles, heard sincere thanks, and witnessed employees going above and beyond to help people find the right technology for their lives, regardless of their budget. The story of the undercover CEO and the sales rep's lie had become an internal legend, a cautionary tale, and a rallying cry. It reminded everyone that true leadership meant accountability, and that the company's values were not just words on a wall, but principles to be lived every single day. The incident at Tech Solutions had a ripple effect beyond the company itself. Inspired by Eris's actions, several other retail chains began to reevaluate their own customer service policies, particularly concerning implicit bias and class discrimination. Eris became an outspoken advocate for ethical business practices, frequently speaking at industry conferences about the importance of genuine inclusivity and the long-term benefits of treating every customer with dignity. He established the Thorne Foundation for Tech Accessibility, providing grants and resources to students and low-income communities to bridge the digital divide. One afternoon, Eris received an email from a former Tech Solutions employee. It was from one of the mystery shoppers, a young woman who had been dismissed by Kyle. She thanked him, not just for the laptop she eventually purchased at a fair price, but for validating her experience. "It made me realize," she wrote, "that my worth isn't determined by what I can afford. Thank you for making a difference, not just for me, but for so many others who felt invisible." Eris smiled. This was the true measure of success. It wasn't just about profits or market share. It was about creating a world where everyone had an equal chance, where prejudice was dismantled, and where dignity was a universal right. The lie that left him speechless had ultimately given a voice to countless others, and that, Eris knew, was a legacy worth building. He leaned back in his chair, a quiet satisfaction settling over him. The battle for true equity was ongoing, but today, a significant victory had been won.